Silence, please. Communicating.
Hello and welcome. Yes, we are the Whovians and we have gathered again, this time to talk about the final story of the Key to Time season. Yes, we've made it to the very end. We've gone from 1 to 6. And if this is your first time watching, then make sure you go and watch our other videos to catch up to this 6th point. And now I'm going to see what these guys think here. So first of all, we'll go to see what Jason thinks. Go ahead, Jason, for the Armageddon factor. What do you think on this one?
The Armageddon factor, definitely an interesting story for a 6-parter. Definitely like the characters in this one. I think there's also the first appearance of Laura Ward. I can't pronounce her name who also appears as the second Ramona, the regeneration after. But the story was definitely quite interesting. Also, appearance of the Black Guardian in the 6th part. Definitely interesting characters like Drax, who ends up being another Time Lord in part 5 and 6, and apparently he's was a class of 92 of Gallifrey. He was trapped in the planet where, I guess, with the Shadow People for 5 years, and with K9 as well being controlled by the Shadow People for quite a while. The Princess being captured by the Shadow. A lot of things going on in the story itself. I think it worked quite well, in my opinion. There's not really much to say, not really much to actually complain about it. I actually quite enjoyed it. But yeah, I'll actually give it a 9 out of 10 on this one.
A 9 out of 10. Thank you, Jason. Now let's see what our librarian Harry has to say about the Armageddon factor. Go ahead, Harry.
I have my book with me as well. Armageddon factor was, in my opinion, a very good story. Hey, you had the tie-in of everything been going on. You mentioned the Black Guardian, the search for the 6th key, which turned out to be the Princess Astra herself. Oh, you have introduction of another renegade of sorts, Time Lord, Drax. A very good story overall. I'd rated the story itself a 9 out of 10. The book, well done by Terrence Dicks, also a 9 out of 10.
Thank you, Harry. All right, then, we'll go over to Beef Dad. Go ahead, Beef Dad.
Good evening. I enjoyed the storyline. I thought it was entertaining. I was a bit iffy about it being 6 episodes, but to be perfectly honest, I didn't get bored. There were some wonderful funny lines in it, some absolutely magical moments, like when the Doctor says to Romana, "That's all right, we all make mistakes, don't we, K9?" Negative. Magic. There was one point where Drax, the other renegade Time Lord, had shrunk himself and the Doctor down to something like about 3 inches high, and the Doctor wanted him to grow him back up, and the Doctor said, "Well, small is lovely, big is better." Yeah, good fun, I thought. Lalla Ward playing the princess she was just quite magical. She was totally otherworldly. I love watching Lalla Ward in this. Mary Tam as Romana in a short frock this week. Not entirely an impractical one, but one that showed off her best assets. And, well, John Woodvine as the Marshal, shouty, annoying, like every other, basically, general that they have on Doctor Who, who's going to try and kill everybody. And he played it so brilliantly. He really was very, very good. And David Harris's Shap was basically a civilian, a pen pusher, and forever trying to keep the Marshal under control and basically getting up his nose. The Shadow Guards, not the Shadow himself, I didn't find him particularly sinister. I found him, if anything, a little bit risible. But the Shadow Guards themselves, because they were so silent and so dark, lent a wonderful air of menace to it for me. And of course, the appearance of the Dark Guardian at the end, played by Valentine Dial, was, for me, just absolutely magical. He's the perfect person to play the Dark Guardian, in my opinion. And yeah, I enjoyed it, and for me it gets an 8.5 out of 10.
An 8.5. Thank you, Beef Dad. Now let's see what Jimmy has to say. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I didn't like it. I found it to be a complete disappointment. This is supposed to be the story arc of the key to time, and you expect it to be building up to something very big, something fantastic, something wonderful, and it just fizzles out. When it began, I saw, I'm in the very, very beginning of part one. I saw John Woodvine, and I thought, oh, great, it's John Woodvine. And he did not disappoint me. He was as exactly what I expected him to be. But you think he would be, he's the bad guy. And in a way he is, but then they like put him off into a time loop. And for most of the rest, the second half, he's just stuck in this time loop over and over, and then it goes to the Shadow. And the Shadow is just laughable. He's not, I mean, he's a villain that laughs at being evil. It's just a laughable villain, and it's 3 episodes too long. It was way too long. Interesting that they called, the Doctor calls Princess Astra a human being. I wonder if when this takes place, humans had scattered throughout the universe, and she's a descendant of humans from Earth. But a couple times he calls her a human being. I thought that was interesting. But Mary Tam was good in it, but I see why she quit. Instead of being an equal to the Doctor, she was just another companion who's a damsel in distress. Basically wasted talent. Tom Baker's, of course, great in it. And of course, you're not supposed to watch all the episodes at once. It was originally part 1, the next week part 2, next week part 3. But it was just way too long, uninteresting, with a lot of plot holes and a lot of flaws in logic. The very fact that there is a nuclear war that's being done, and just one nuclear bomb would be enough to cause total devastation. It's just lobbing nuclear bombs left and right, and the planet's still there. It's just a big disappointment. I'd give it a 3, if that much, on a scale of 1 to 10. I just did not like it.
So there you go from Jimmy. Jimmy didn't like it. Well, that's fair enough. Not everybody we can't like everything, can we? We can't like every Doctor Who episodes. There's episodes that I don't like. So let's see. And I imagine that Lee's opinion is going to be the same. Let's go over to Lee. What do you have to say, Lee?
Right, I'm just, brace yourself. Here we go.
I'm braced.
Well, yeah, hold it in. For me, the Key to Time season was working so well until we hit this story. It's, as Jimmy said, it's too long. 6 episodes is just too long for this story. They could have took 2 episodes off, fitted 2 episodes in between another story in the Key to Time season as a little romp story somewhere along the line. But no, they had to do 6 episodes. It's dull, boring. Nothing seems to happen. The Shadow character, over the top acting. Even his actions are over the top. Just awful. Lalla Ward, for me, didn't really do it. She was just playing. To me, it was just exactly as she was playing Romana in the next season. She didn't really change her characterization. Saving grace for this story really is Tom Baker, Mary Tam, and John Woodvan. And it's a shame John Woodvan was only in the first 3 episodes mainly, but he's a brilliant actor. His talent was wasted in this story, to be honest. It's awful. What else can I say? I mean, well, we found out the Doctor's name is Theta Sigma. So I don't know why all these fans a few years back was up in arms about the name of the Doctor. We're going to find out the name of the Doctor. We already know the name of the Doctor, Theta Sigma. But to me, it's one of the worst Tom Baker stories in his run. I think I'm with Jimmy on this. I'm going to give it a 3. It's just awful.
So you enjoyed it then, Lee? That's good to hear.
Yeah, I think it was absolutely
10.
one of the best.
Was it a 10
ever.
you gave it? Was it a 10?
No,
10.
it was a 3. It was a 3.
Oh,
It was a 3 because of Baker.
300 or 300,
Don't
yeah?
start.
I'm
Don't
at-
start. It was a 3. Look,
Yeah.
3. Look. 3.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't say 2.
I could have done 1, but I did 3.
Now, let's go over to Lady Nia.
No, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen this one. But I do have to agree, it drags in a lot of places. But I don't respect, well, I respect her. I respect Lalla Ward. And she did really well for me in this episode as the princess. And I think, I don't know the gentleman's name, the one that I guess fell in love with her and everything. A little bit of that little romance, I guess, added in there. And yeah, to tell you the truth, it's been a while, but I remember looking at it and saying, I'm bored and I don't know what's going on. And then I just said, you know what? I didn't watch it all at the same time. I watched it, then I just said, I was trying to watch a little bit now to remember, then I remembered. And my favorite part, the best part for me, I think it's when the 4th Doctor and Romana won. They finally got the last segment of the key to time, and he's getting all evil, freaky like for a minute there. I was like, oh, that is so cool. So how would I rate this? Dear me. I can't give it a 3. I can't give it a 10. I'm going to have to give it maybe like a 6, maybe. No, a 7 out of 10.
Thank you, Neo. So it seems to me like this episode is kind of split. You get some people who really like it, like, some of us here have given it an 8 or a 9, and then you've got other people here that have given it a 3, like Jimmy and Lee. So you can bash them in the comments. Don't I'm only joking. But for me personally, I don't agree with Lee or Jimmy. I agree with Harry and Jason and Beef Dad. I like this one. I like this one. I don't know why. I feel like I feel like it's, I don't know, I think I like it more than I should in a way. And I can't really explain that. But the sets are good in it. I'll be honest. I think I like the sets. I like the, the main control deck thing. And when they're in the spaceship and you've got the bars on the outside and they're sitting in the seats, I think that looks really good. The villain, yeah, I like the villain. I mean, he's all talk, really, isn't he? He's got his deep, dark voice. I like that. I like, obviously, Romana, fantastic. Mary Tam, and I was thinking about this. People go on about female Doctor, but I actually think Mary Tam would have made a good female Doctor. If there was a female Doctor in the classic series, I could see Mary Tam being a female Doctor. There's just something about her. And I know this is her last story, but I like this one, and it's a good last story. It was her decision to leave. I found out in the because I listened to the commentary and things like that. They wanted her to come back, but she didn't want to become a normal, screaming companion and asking what the doctor, asking what is everything, what we doing, for the audience. And I think she's great. I think she's so underrated. I really do. Yeah, I like this one. Yeah. So I'm gonna give it I'll go with an 8.5. I think it doesn't deserve a 9, I don't think, but an 8.5. I quite like this one. Now I will open the floor up to whoever wants to speak.
Mary Tam said in an interview that she was willing to come back to film a regeneration scene, and they said no. And also, she kept telling them, I'm always signed on for just one season. And they thought, oh, she'll change her mind. She'll change her mind. She'll change her mind. And she didn't change her mind.
Well, there was one thing I did not like. The Xeon computer thing. I still just don't get the part of the Xeon crystal. Not Xeon crystal, but Xeon, the computer machine thing. It just doesn't get it.
One thing I dug up while doing some research for this episode was the fact that this was the last story written by the team of Baker and Martin. Now, we'd known them for years from back in the Pertwee era, for doing stories like Claws of Axos, Mutants, Three Doctors, and in the Tom Baker era, we knew him from some Tarn Experiment, and Underworld, Invisible Enemy. But this was the last story that they did together as a team. Baker went on to do one more story for the Tom Baker era, which was Nightmare of Eden. But that was the last story he did. He's gone on to do other work, but when the show came back on the air, he petitioned the BBC and RTD for permission to come back and write for the show. RTD sent him a letter back saying, no one from the classic era will be allowed to write for the show again. Martin, in the late 90s, early 2000s, passed away due to cancer from a bad habit he had of smoking. So you do have one story what Baker has done since then, which was a K9 story for Sarah Jane Adventures, but basically he's out as far as Doctor Who stuff is concerned these days.
Also, you say it was Mary Tam's last TV appearance as Romana, but thankfully, before she passed away, she recorded a full season with Tom Baker in the Big Finish audios. So if you haven't heard those, go out there and listen.
I have to say, I never knew that.
Yeah, she recorded a full season with Tom Baker of audios, and it's just like she's never been away. It was shortly before she died. Also, it looks like with the Big Finish range, it looks like Drax might be returning in a Tom Baker story entitled "The Trouble with Drax." Sometime, yeah. But I don't think it's the same actor playing him. So we'll have to find out. He may have regenerated.
Yeah. I enjoyed, as I said, I really enjoyed the Valentine Dial. Now, a lot of the younger members will not know Valentine Dial. He was a man who did an awful lot of radio suspense stories. He was known as the Man in Black. Valentine Dial was the Man in Black. He also guested on the Goon show at points where certain people were perhaps not too well. He was around for a very long time and an excellent actor. And sadly, I think, underused in this. It would have been nicer to have seen a bit more of the Black Guardian than we actually saw. We only actually really saw him in the last episode. And Valentine Dial is too good an actor to waste on just a cameo, which is one of the reasons why I never went higher than 8.5.
I have to say in this, K9 does have a lot to do. You do see a lot of K9 in this. See a lot of K9. And I like K9.
I like K9.
Yes.
And
Anybody else say?
it also shows you that Kenan can be influenced. You know,
He can, yes, he can. I can
used to
confirm
know
he can
about
be
it.
influenced.
Nobody's mentioned them, but that film clip with the hero and the heroine,
The soap opera. The soap
I
opera.
have absolutely no idea why they bothered to put that in, because that really was a piece of complete junk.
I think it was to make it more immersive, like they're like us watching EastEnders sort of thing. It's like they're EastEnders. It was trying to be more immersive, give more of a backstory to the planet and to their way of life. So
Oh yes, you mean they watch a soap story in spite of the fact that they're being bombarded with nuclear missiles.
yeah, but we would do that, really, wouldn't we? We'd still
No.
watch it.
The mostly that was the thing to do, is keep the public entertained by just screening non-stop TV all the time to keep the mind off all the bombing.
Exactly.
Weren't they in shelters or something, right?
Yeah, it's like a hospital, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right, and they had to have some kind of entertainment, even if the soap opera was horrible.
Well, that's it. But wait, it isn't it. No, it's not. That's a shock. I think I'm going to surprise everybody here because we've got a bonus round. Yes. I bet you didn't see this one coming because this is the last story in the Key to Time. This isn't planned, by the way. I'm going to go around and ask everybody what their final score is, what they're going to give the whole of the season out of 10. So let's first off go. Who am I going to drop it in? Who am I going to pick on first? Let's go to Beef Dad. What's your final thoughts on this season?
You don't scare me, Alid. Final thoughts on the season. It was a brilliant concept. In the main, well realised. And for me, overall, the entire season gets a 9.
A 9. Thank you, Beef Dad. And what about you, Lee? What do you have to give it?
So the season for me started slow with the Reboss operation. It finished dragging and slow with the Armageddon factor, but the stories in between were just top notch for me. I'll just for that, because of the season fill-in, shall we say, I'd give this season an 8.
An 8. And what about you, Harry?
I'd give it a 9. I'd love to see the new era come back, re-examine what was done with this Quest season, and try and do something like that. Because if there's one thing that they have not tried to do, and I think perhaps with this new producers coming in, maybe we will see a throwback to a few of the way things were done in the old days. You never know.
Thank you, Harry. What about you, Lady Nick?
Let's see, the Reboss operation. Okay, that was good. And then the one after that one, I think I liked it too. Oh yes, the Pirate Planet, that was cool.
Mr. Fibley.
That was awesome. That was awesome. I like that one too. And then the crawl with the green people. Cute. I love the green people. Ooh, the one where there were the many different androids of
Androids of Tara, yeah.
Yes. I loved Girlfriend's outfit in that. I loved her outfit. I want her outfit. I want it. Anyways, going through all of them, I would have to give this, I want to give it a 10, but I can't because, I'm going to give it an 8.5 instead.
What do you say, Jason? What do you have to give this whole season? What's your final thoughts?
Definitely one of the best seasons of Tom Baker, I would say. I mean, I loved watching Wibble's operation. I found Pirate Planet very enjoyable. Great characters. You got a great twist going on there with the Emnies. And also you got Stones of Blood, which I thought I didn't like at first, but when I watched it again, I definitely loved it. Also got the Android of Terror, another good story, and then the Power of Crow with the big giant squid creature. Also, the Armageddon Factor, definitely a great story for Key to Time, and I'm hoping they could do something like this next time in the near future. But yeah, I definitely give it about a 9 to a 10 for this whole season.
And what about you, Jimmy?
Search for the Key. Actually, it's very thinly connecting the stories. So you can miss a story and still enjoy it. You can miss 2 stories and still enjoy it. You can miss 4 stories and still enjoy it. So I'd skip the Rebus operation. I'd skip Armageddon Factor, and it would get an 8.
Thank you. And from me, it just has to, I think, has to get a 9. Yeah, it's a 9 from me. I really like it. The weakest story is the first story, and I think I've given them all around an 8 or 9 every story, but not the first story. So it has to be a 9. I think it's a very, very good season of Doctor Who. I think it's fantastic. I think, like I keep on saying, Mary Tam, Romana 1 is very underrated. Yes. Anyway, that really is it. That really is it. There's no more bonus rounds, not that I know of. And I would like to thank everybody here for joining me. So thank you. I would like to thank you for watching. And if this is your first time watching, then we got loads of other videos to watch. Yes, we've also got Graham with Audio Who, and we have our classic Who, and we have our new Who. We've got all of it. We have our Sarah Jane ones too. So feel free to go through the channel and just watch whatever you want. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe and comment down below. What do you think? What's your overall opinion on this story and this season? But until next time, yes, until next Saturday, as always, keep on whoing.
So I sometimes was a bit, offhand or rude or abrasive about the scripts or whatever it was.
I was just trying to gild this rather dreary 2-shot here, which looks as if we're advertising something. I think it would be quite nice if it would be able to Mary and Norman, that when, just as our cue comes up, if Mary actually was going to say something to me, and, and then we actually get away like that. I know it's awesome.
Fine, lovely.
But
do you want a cue? Or will you take your cue from
I'll take my cue from John.
Right.
Well, I could waggle my ducks.
No, don't waggle.
Don't waggle my ducks.
No. If you frighten the horse, that bit of...
Yes. Oh, right.